And Rottnest Island itself is spiritual to Mob. We avoid places where bad things happen.
The living conditions on there were atrocious. They were treated like animals because Aboriginal people back in those days were a nobody.
I just feel an immense remorse when I go to Rottnest.
The Wadjemup, or Rottnest Island, is sacred to Aboriginal people. For almost 100 years between 1838 and 1931, Wadjemup was a prison for at least 3,670 Aboriginal men and boys. Many of the men in prison were leaders, warriors and lawmen of their tribal homelands. Prison sentences were often for crimes they did not understand, for crimes that were petty by today's standard. They were transported in chains across vast lands and areas of Western Australia. Detained at the Roundhouse prison, they were then forced to row across to the island. Some had never seen an ocean. They had no idea what awaited them. Most were imprisoned at the Quad, which in the 20th century became a holiday resort for tourists. 5 executions took place in the grounds of this quad. More than 370 men never made it off the island and are now buried in unmarked graves on the island. They were fathers, they were sons, they were brothers, they were husbands. They were never to see their homelands and family again. Their spirits are part of this island, and for those that got off the island, their descendants now proudly tell their story. Survivors of Wadjemup.
I reckon these stories are important to keep going for the next generation to understand what happened to our people years ago, so that it doesn't happen again to the next generation.
Well, I knew that my old man was in there. They thought they were cowboys. Back in the 1800s, you know. That's what they do, meet the law, but you can't meet the law, you know.
When my grandfather was released, I and my younger sister, we researched the prison records and we found 2 entries and 2 discharges. The first one would have been the one for 6 months hard labour. He went to prison, started off in Fremantle, but then he ended up out on Rottnest Island, dated in 1931, and he was then released. And on the release discharge, it said it was freedom. He was the last person off Rottnest Island.
My ancestor that was sent to Rottnest was Tommy Nettle. He was sent in 1897, and he was known as Prisoner 620. And he was sent there under charges of disorderly conduct, I believe. And he survived Rottnest. You know, those sorts of stories about the survivors is what we need to remind ourselves of as well.
I don't know much about a prison. This is the first time I'm going to go to Rottnest. I don't know anything about it.
In 2014, I swam to Rottnest in the first Aboriginal swim team, and when we're coming into the island at Thompson Bay there, I could hear these chains rattling, and my mind went back to, you know, those days when the convicts were shackled around their ankles and the chains. I could hear them rattling, and then it sort of haunted me for a while. It was a pretty stark reminder of the history of this island.
Just reading some of these stories, very sad, just makes you want to cry.
Yeah.
And I'm devastated at just reading the stories about these people and knowing that my grandfather was amongst some of them. He was a survivor. A lot of people would have had family members placed on this, and reading these stories would break their heart.
Some of them never went home.
That's it.
Exactly. And that's where you want to cry for all these old fellas that never left.
That's true.
Never got to meet them, meet their families.
We're walking together now. 100 years ago, our ancestors walked together right here.
Exactly, yeah.
Imagine how they would have felt, all their freedom's been taken away.
You can really feel it now.
Oh my God.
Coming in here, this feels...
I wonder if any of them will feel what we feel because of our ancestors that come from here. They don't understand any of it. They hear the stories, but they don't feel what we feel.
Yep. Thankfully, our ancestors didn't end up here, but a lot did. 370 plus men buried here.
You still feel that connection for these people that never made it off the island. Hope their spirits have made it home. The ones that survived made it out of here. They were resilient, and I feel sad for the ones that couldn't make it because the families are missing out on their return.
Well, for me, it's about being proud that my ancestors survived, came back, and here I am today. I'm a survivor. If you're living today, you're a survivor.